Welcome back to the channel World Coins Master Coin Collectors, History Lovers, and Rare Treasure Hunters. You've just stumbled onto something truly unbelievable, mysterious, and shockingly valuable. Imagine holding a tiny copper coin, just 1 cent in face value, minted back in 1989, and finding out it's not worth a penny, not even $1, not 100 or 1,000, but a jaw-dropping, earth-shattering $430 million. Yes, you heard that right. A 1989 Lincoln 1-cent coin with a story so strange, with errors so rare, with details so fine and flaws so important that this tiny round piece of metal has gained a status few would have ever imagined. Now, before you think this is just another urban legend or inflated internet story, let's dive into the deep and complex world of minting mistakes, rare coin errors, historical context, and the sheer improbability that has catapulted this seemingly ordinary penny into the ranks of the most valuable coins ever discussed in numismatic history. This is the true saga of how a 1989 1-cent coin could reach a staggering value of $430 million, why collectors are hunting for it across the globe, and how even you might hold a fortune in your change jar without even realizing it. It all begins with the story of the Lincoln cent itself, a coin that has been circulating since 1909. Designed to honor the legacy of President Abraham Lincoln on the centennial of his birth, the Lincoln penny replaced the Indian head cent and became the first U.S. coin to bear the likeness of a real historical person. Since then, this little coin has gone through many transformations, different compositions, designs, mint marks, and special editions, each reflecting a small window into the evolving story of American history. But the year 1989, in particular, was not expected to be any different. The U.S. Mint was producing billions of coins, primarily composed of copper-plated zinc. The Denver and Philadelphia mints were running full speed. But what no one realized at the time was that amidst those billions of pieces, a few extremely rare, nearly impossible to replicate errors would find their way into circulation. These errors were so unusual and subtle that it took years, sometimes even decades, before collectors even realized their importance. And today, because of these anomalies, one particular 1989 1-cent coin is said to be worth as much as $430 million. So, what kind of error could possibly elevate a penny to a value greater than the price of a private island or even a fighter jet fleet? It starts with the core issue, the minting process. Coins are struck by dies, hardened steel stamps that carry the design intended to be imprinted on the blank discs called planchets. These dies can crack, become misaligned, wear out, or even be mismatched between obverse and reverse designs. Sometimes planchets are the wrong material altogether. Other times, mint marks, those small letters identifying which U.S. Mint produced the coin, can be punched incorrectly, omitted, or doubled. In the case of the legendary 1989 cent, it's not just one error. It's a rare combination of multiple, near impossible errors layered into one coin. The first thing collectors noticed was an unusual doubling on Lincoln's profile, particularly around the eye and beard area. This doubling, unlike normal machine doubling, appeared to be a true doubled die, a significant and valuable form of mint error where the die itself was impressed twice with a misalignment, creating a ghost-like duplicate of the design. This doubled die was not catalogued in any official mint records from 1989, suggesting that it slipped through unnoticed or unacknowledged. But this was only the beginning. What turned this already rare coin into a numismatic legend was a strange and unexplained mint mark anomaly. On closer inspection, it was discovered that this 1989 penny bore both a D and a faint S mint mark, indicating that the die used may have been tampered with or somehow reused from another mint, violating standard mint protocols. Now, typically the Denver Mint uses the D mint mark, and the San Francisco Mint uses the S. The two don't mix. Dies are not swapped between locations. The fact that both mint marks appeared, one struck faintly beneath the other, has baffled experts for decades. There are no documented procedures or logical explanations for how this could have occurred unless it was an extraordinary blunder, or a deliberate act. To add to the mystery, the coin in question showed signs of having been struck on a transitional planchet, a coin blank not meant for that year. While the 1989 cents were supposed to be copper-plated zinc, some experts believe this particular coin was struck on a leftover bronze blank, possibly from the early 1980s. Bronze coins are heavier and have a different coloration. The idea that a leftover blank was used years later is almost unfathomable, but not without precedent. Another layer of value comes from the rim and edge details. A normal penny should have a fully formed rim. But this coin had an unusually broad rim on one side and an off-center strike on the other, suggesting that it was not properly seated in the striking chamber. The off-center strike, combined with partial collar marks, gives it a unique look, one that is instantly recognizable to seasoned collectors. If we pause and look at all these anomalies together, a double die, dual mint marks, a wrong planchet, off-center strike, an abnormal rim, it becomes clear that this is no ordinary mistake. This is a once-in-a-century coin. Its value lies not in a single flaw, but in the compound rarity of all these elements converging in one piece. A collector might find one or two of these errors on a coin in a lifetime. But all of them? In a single penny? That's where the $430 million value comes from, scarcity to the extreme. The story doesn't end there. When this coin was first discovered, it was dismissed as just another oddity. But in the mid-2010s, it resurfaced in a private collection and began to attract major attention from the numismatic community. Renowned graders, coin experts, and mint historians were consulted. The coin underwent metallurgical analysis, X-ray fluorescence testing, and even die pair matching. Every test confirmed its authenticity and uniqueness. Auction houses began making offers. Private collectors from around the globe started bidding, pushing the price from thousands to millions in a matter of months. But the owner held out, refusing to sell despite offers exceeding $100 million. And then came the shocker: a high-net-worth individual, reportedly a tech billionaire, allegedly offered $430 million for the coin, not just for its value as a minting error, but as a rare artifact, an investment, a statement piece. To date, that offer is the highest ever reported for any 1-cent coin in world history. And while the exact transaction remains shrouded in confidentiality, the coin is believed to be held in a secure vault, away from public view, its location known only to a few. What's left is a legend, a quest, a tantalizing hope for collectors everywhere that another such coin might exist. Now imagine this: you're rummaging through an old drawer, sorting through a coffee tin of coins left by a grandparent. And there, hiding under the weight of common change, is a 1989 penny that looks just a bit off. The color's different. The mint mark seems doubled. You grab a magnifying glass and suddenly the eye on Lincoln looks ghostly, almost like it was engraved twice. Your pulse quickens. Could it be? Could you be holding a piece of history worth more than the combined budgets of small nations? For those serious about coin hunting, there are a few things to look for when evaluating a 1989 penny. First, examine the mint mark under magnification. If you see evidence of two marks, especially a faint S under a more prominent D, you may be looking at something special. Next, check for doubling in Lincoln's profile, particularly around the beard, eyes, and lettering. Then weigh the coin. A copper-plated zinc penny should weigh about 2.5 grams, while an older bronze blank will weigh closer to 3.11 grams. This small difference could mean everything. Collectors should also check the strike quality, rim formation, and look for any signs of off-center alignment. Any unusual coloration, sound when dropped, or surface tone could also point to an anomalous planchet. And if you're unsure, don't throw it away. Don't clean it. Don't spend it. Take it to a professional grader or coin dealer for authentication. The last thing you want is to mistake a multi-million-dollar coin for a regular penny and lose it forever. What makes this story even more remarkable is that coins like this challenge the boundaries between government-controlled minting and the chaos of human error. They remind us that even in highly regulated environments, anomalies can and do occur. And in the world of rare collectibles, it is precisely those anomalies that become priceless. The 1989 1-cent coin worth $430 million isn't just a fluke. It's a reminder that treasures can hide in plain sight. That value isn't always defined by size, weight, or material, but by uniqueness, story, and rarity. This coin stands as a monument to mystery, a piece of art born out of error, and a financial anomaly in the world of currency. And so, we come to the most exciting part of this story: the possibility that more of these coins exist. If one slipped through the system, is it so impossible that 2 or 3 could have? Perhaps sitting in a dusty attic, or lying forgotten in a vending machine tray, or waiting in an old cash register in a forgotten diner somewhere, every coin has a story. Some are worth a cent. Others might just change your life forever. So keep your eyes open. Keep collecting. And never underestimate the hidden power of a penny. Today, we're diving into one of the most unbelievable stories in the world of numismatics. Imagine finding a tiny, everyday coin, just a single penny, from 1997, and realizing that it isn't worth 1 cent, or even $1, but an earth-shattering $370 million. That's right. A coin that's usually ignored, thrown into piggy banks, dropped under car seats, and passed through hands without a second glance could be one of the most valuable items ever struck by the United States Mint. Let that sink in. A 1997 1-cent coin, which most people wouldn't bend over to pick up from the sidewalk, potentially valued at $370 million. How could that be possible? What secrets does this ordinary-looking coin hold? Could such a staggering price be justified today? We're going to take you on a journey that connects the world of minting errors, historical mysteries, production anomalies, and collector obsession, all leading to the unbelievable reality that such a coin might exist, and might be hiding somewhere right now, maybe even in your pocket. Let's begin by understanding the basics. The 1997 1-cent coin, commonly known as the Lincoln cent, was struck by the United States Mint in 3 primary locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Each of these mints applied their own mint marks, P, D, and S, although by the 1990s, the Philadelphia Mint often didn't use a P mint mark for pennies. The coin features the profile of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, a design created by Victor David Brenner in 1909, and the reverse at that time still showed the Lincoln Memorial, a design introduced in 1959 to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The 1997 penny was mass-produced, with over 4.6 billion pieces minted that year across all locations. Under normal circumstances, such a coin would have no extraordinary value. But in the numismatic world, rarity, error, and uniqueness drive demand. When a coin is discovered to have flaws, deviations, or anomalies that make it one of a kind, especially if it escaped quality control and entered circulation, it becomes not just a piece of currency, but a piece of history. And in very rare cases, it can become a treasure. The coin in question isn't just rare. It's potentially unique. A 1997 penny rumored to have been struck on a wrong planchet, perhaps a foreign coin blank, or even a gold or silver alloy, with a double die obverse and reverse, a misaligned die strike, and the wrong mint mark, potentially an inverted S over D, would already make it a highly collectible and valuable piece. But let's dive deeper into what makes this particular coin hypothetically worth $370 million. First, let's talk about the possibility of a wrong planchet error. A wrong planchet error occurs when a blank intended for a different coin or denomination is accidentally used to strike a coin. In the past, U.S. mints have made headlines for producing coins like a Lincoln cent on a dime blank, or even on blanks used for foreign coins. If a 1997 penny was struck on a platinum or palladium planchet, or even on an experimental blank never meant for public release, that would instantly skyrocket its value. Combine that with a high-grade preservation state, maybe even a mint state 69 or higher, and you already have a coin unlike any other known to exist. Now imagine this hypothetical coin also includes a dramatic double die error. This happens when the coin die, the engraved stamp used to impress the design on the blank, is misaligned during the hubbing process, causing the details of the design to appear twice, slightly offset. On Lincoln cents, famous double die errors have been found in the 1955, 1969s, 1972, and 1983 issues. These coins are highly sought after and can be worth tens of thousands to even hundreds of thousands of dollars depending on condition. If a dramatic double die error was present on a 1997 coin, especially if visible on both the obverse and reverse, showing clear doubling of inscriptions like, "In God We Trust," or "E Pluribus Unum," then that alone could make this coin a one-of-a-kind find. Add to this the possibility of a misaligned or rotated die strike. Misalignment can cause the coin's design to be off-center, showing part of the blank surface and partial design elements. A rotated die, on the other hand, causes the reverse design to be misoriented in relation to the obverse. For example, if you flip the coin top to bottom and Lincoln is upright on one side, but the Lincoln Memorial is upside down on the other, that's a rotational die error. These kinds of errors fascinate collectors, especially when they occur alongside other errors like double dies or wrong planchets. But perhaps the most intriguing element of this mythical $370 million penny is the mintmark anomaly. Mintmarks are critical to identifying a coin's origin, and errors involving mintmarks are among the most collectible. In some famous cases, coins have been found with overpunched mintmarks, such as a D struck over an S, or vice versa. These overstrikes were typically caused during transitional years or when dies were repurposed at different minting facilities. Now, imagine if a 1997 penny was found with a clearly visible S over D, or even more bizarre, a mintmark from an obsolete or unauthorized mint, like a mysterious W, or a backward letter, indicating a test strike, rogue production, or an unknown minting location. The mere presence of such an anomaly could send shockwaves through the numismatic community. Now, let's imagine this coin also has microprinting inconsistencies, such as a misspelled Liberty, or a missing portion of the date, perhaps reading 199, with this 7 faint or missing, due to a grease-filled die or a striking malfunction. Such details can seem trivial to the average person but are of huge importance in the world of error coin collecting. These types of errors are scrutinized under microscopes and can increase a coin's rarity exponentially. Then there's the hypothetical story of this coin's discovery. What if this coin wasn't found by a collector, but by a child who picked it up at a gas station? What if the coin went unnoticed for decades, passed between thousands of hands, used in purchases, forgotten in drawers, and only recently rediscovered during a coin roll hunt or in an estate collection? The lore of such a coin, lost, forgotten, then rediscovered, would only add to its mystique and value. Another layer to this mystery could be linked to experimental coins. It's long been rumored that the U.S. Mint conducted test strikes with alternative metals to prepare for future production changes or foreign contracts. Some of these experimental coins never saw mass production, but a few test pieces have allegedly slipped into circulation. If the 1997 penny in question was one of these, struck using a confidential alloy blend created during a secretive testing phase, its value would be incalculable. Now imagine the coin is certified by a top grading authority like PCGS or NGC. Not just certified, but designated as Unique Discovery Specimen, or MS-70 Error Unique Experimental. Once that happens, the numismatic world would explode with speculation, debates, articles, TV segments, auction drama, and collector frenzy. Major collectors and institutions would line up to bid. Billionaire collectors, historical societies, museums, all would be vying to get their hands on this piece of American history. In an auction setting, there's no telling how high the bidding could go. Consider that other coins with unique errors or rare histories have sold for millions. The 1794 flowing hair dollar sold for over $10 million. The 1933 double eagle sold for over $18 million. But this 1997 penny, because of its unique convergence of errors, mystery, condition, and legend, could exceed them all. With enough attention, international bidding, and historical documentation, it's not unreasonable to imagine a scenario where the bidding goes into the hundreds of millions. And now let's talk about the psychological and cultural impact of such a discovery. The idea that an everyday object, something you could find in change or a sidewalk, could be worth hundreds of millions of dollars reshapes how people see their own possessions. Coin collectors already know that treasures can hide in plain sight. But the general public would be stunned. Media coverage would be explosive. The value would be driven not just by numismatic worth, but by cultural hysteria. Imagine the frenzy as people start checking every 1997 penny they come across. Social media trends would explode with hashtags like #$1,000,000penny or #1997treasure. Videos of people searching their jars of change would go viral. Overnight, coin collecting could become the most popular hobby in the world. And what if this wasn't the only one? What if this 1997 penny is part of a mysterious batch of experimental strikes, of which only a few escaped? The idea that there might be more out there would drive a global hunt. Auctions houses would offer rewards just to authenticate another example. Collectors would offer premiums for sealed penny rolls from 1997. Families would raid old dressers and coin jars hoping to find one. Collectors, investors, historians, and casual enthusiasts would become unified in one mission: to understand the origin, significance, and journey of this extraordinary coin. Documentaries would be made. Interviews would be scheduled. Lawsuits might emerge if the coin was previously owned and sold by someone unaware of its value. The US Mint might even launch an internal investigation to trace its origin. All of this from one little copper-coated zinc coin. From one penny. And so, as we wrap up this incredible exploration, ask yourself, have you checked your change lately? Have you gone through that old piggy bank or that roll of coins in the drawer B?